when I see a week-long Vice President Kamala Harris attack, I just can't help but think of Reese Colbert. What is Reese thinking? And I feel like Reese, every week we get on air. I mean, I don't think I'm over dramatizing this. I don't think I've ever seen a vice president being attacked in this way. Maybe
No.
there was a moment of Dan Quayle and his what was it, potato thing. Maybe
But
there's little
yeah.
moments here. Yeah, but I don't think I mean the steady you would think she was the president. The
Yes.
steady attack on Vice President Kamala Harris. And the latest one is her going to Guatemala. This is her
Hmm.
first stop, and she's doing work around immigration. This is a long, complicated, decades old kind of issue. And,
Right.
and I played this clip earlier in the week, but I want to play it again and play another clip. So there is the exchange she had with Lester Holt, and Lester Holt is grilling her on why she hasn't gone to the border. I just want to repeat again, Mike Pence didn't go to the border until February of 2018, but whatever. But then Vice President Kamala Harris says, and I haven't gone to Europe either. I want to play this clip, then I want to play another clip. Listen to this.
And as I mentioned, Mr. President, I believe that our world is interconnected and interdependent. And certainly the most recent issues that have plagued our globe, including the pandemic, have made that point clear. Our world is interconnected and interdependent. And therefore, what happens abroad is of priority to the United States of America. And that is why I am in Guatemala today. And that is why President Joe Biden will travel to Europe later this week. We are renewing our relationships around the globe and our presence around the world. In fact, just last week, I shared with the President that the United States will provide, as a first donation, 500,000 vaccines to Guatemala.
So that adds some context. It
Yeah.
wasn't like she was throwing Europe out there like, well, I haven't gone to, Finland. It wasn't like she was just
Yeah.
throwing stuff. That adds context, right? That's why it's so important for us to read beyond headlines. Now, I want to play this other clip and this got some traction, of Vice President Kamala Harris saying, do not come, do not come. This is went viral. Listen to this.
I want to be clear to folks in this region who are thinking about making that dangerous trek to the United States-Mexico border. Do not come. Do not come. The United States will continue to enforce our laws and secure our border. There are legal methods by which migration can and should occur. But we, as one of our priorities, will discourage illegal migration. And I believe if you come to our border, you will be turned back.
Okay, I want to say this, then I want to go to Reese, then Amisha. Just like when folks got upset that Vice President Kamala Harris did not say America was a racist country because Tim Scott threw it out there. I can't think of any vice president or president, unless I'm wrong, that has said, come on over, come to that border. Come on now. I can't wait to see you. Now, we've talked about we'll take your poor, we'll take your hungry. But with the U.S. Mexico border, there is no one that I've ever seen saying that.
Right.
And it's frustrating because I'm seeing this higher standard. And if there is something to critique Vice President Kamala Harris on, I will certainly do it. But there appears to be this higher, dare I say, delusional standard for Vice President Kamala Harris that I haven't seen for anybody else. I mean, President Obama didn't say that. I don't know who would actually say the opposite of that. So and I know there are complicated issues in Guatemala. Absolutely, that's clear. I appreciate her saying we're going to try to go to the root causes of it. We can go to the long history back in the 1950s, the destruction that United States brought to Guatemala. We could talk about all of that. But the insane critiques of her, it's not even critiques, it's just illogical.
Yeah.
From quote unquote both sides of people. There's folks who are very upset that she said, do not come. And what I interpreted was that this is a dangerous trek. Children have died.
Mm-hmm.
It is not safe to do this. So yeah, she's getting it from both sides, and it's just I've just never seen a vice president getting attacked this way. But Reese Colbert, what are your thoughts?
People are full of shit because literally Joe Biden been saying this shit since March. Joe Biden, president of the United States, said don't come with his aviators outside of his little helicopter, whatever that's called, to go to Camp David or wherever. He said don't come many times. Jen Psaki done sat her redhead self up on the stage and said don't come many times. Secretary Mayorkas said don't come. This is the official message of the United States government. Y'all trying to act brand new like we didn't have a whole ass president that just came to power 4 years ago off of saying build the wall. America is not open borders. Okay. Literally no country is. If you take your ass to Guatemala, you're going to have to show a passport. You're going to have to go through a border control and they're going to expect your ass to leave in however many number of days. No country in this world is open borders that I know of. And I don't know of any country that anybody wants to go to that would be open borders. So it's all fake outrage. What it is, it shows, number one, the popularity of Vice President Kamala Harris, because it's not cool to talk about politics until you're talking about Kamala, right? Because if you really had a policy issue with the message of don't come, you would have been talking about this since March when Joe Biden was saying it. You'd have been talking about it when Jen Psaki gets asked about this many times, and she has the same message: don't come. Now, I think that she was set up a little bit in the way that it was delivered and in the way that it was put in her speech, and anybody had to know she was going to get dragged over that. But I think it's very, very full of shit for people to be all up in arms about this. Because I recall how many weeks did we have to go back and forth about this COVID-19 hate crimes act where everybody said, look at what the Asians is getting. Where's the black shit at? Everybody was talking about, everybody was anti anybody but us. Now all of a sudden you got the clout chasers invoking Kamala and all this don't come shit, like they so appalled when the same people was talking about where's our black shit. Imagine if VP Kamala Harris went up there and said, everybody come. Then we got millions of people. You know what they would have been saying? Why is she telling people to come to the United States? We need to take care of our own people. We in the middle of a pandemic. People ain't making living wages. We got poverty. We got this. We got dirty. They would have ran down a whole list of all the shit that ain't fixed in America and that need to be fixed for Americans before you invite other people over. And they would have been mad about that. If she would have said the first 10,000 Guatemalans that come to America, you get automatic citizenship, you would have had 2 million people coming. So what message are you really expecting from the vice president, not just of the United States, but the vice president of any nation? They're going to tell you, don't bring your ass over here. And I think it's kind of gangster that she went over there. She had to know she was going to get dragged about it, but she still went over there. She bossed the fuck up and she said, look, we're going to help you out. We're going to help you get everything together. We know America's ain't been shit.
And she called out their corruption too.
She did, right in front of the
in Guatemala. The president of Guatemala called out their corruption. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
She did. She said, okay, we know stuff ain't really all together, but we're going to try to get it together for y'all so that you can stay at home. And I think that's somebody's black mama and black auntie saying, look, you can do whatever you want to do over at your household, but when you come over here, we got different rules. So when you come to the United States border, we got rules for our border. We got rules for our immigration. Okay. We might let you in if you go about it the right way. That's the message that the vice president, whoever is going to give. But I just think people are full of shit. But on the other hand, I don't think people are that mad about it. I don't people think, because this country has never been all about, oh, we love people coming to this country. Right or wrong or indifferent. This country has never been about that. If that's the case, we would have had immigration passed two decades ago when Bush was trying to do it.
Right.
So immigration ain't super popular like that. So a lot of people, the people that really agree with her, low key, they just being quiet. They're like, okay, I'm gonna let y'all be over there and holler and be fake mad, and we're gonna be quiet because low key we agree with her. Low key we agree that we don't need to have everybody and their mama coming up over here when we got shit to fix in the United States, and that's how I feel about it.
Well, you know, it's funny. When they were upset about her not going to the border, I'm like, what do you expect her to do? Go to the border and physically stop people from getting into the country? Like physically use her body and stop people?
But wait, can I just say though about that, because I didn't address that. I want her to just say, I'm not the border czar. I'm the vice motherfucking president of the United States. Period. I'm not border patrol. I'm not gonna be down there with no flashlights okay, looking at people to cross the border. That's not my job. And we have people that are in that position. My job is doing exactly what I'm doing right now. Now, every single journalist was going to ask the question that Lester Holt asked. That was a completely inevitable question. It's a stupid question, but it was a predictable question. And so I just want her to get a little sharper on that messaging and just understand this is what she's going to be attacked on every single day for the next 4 years. I subscribe to her news alerts. 75% of them are the stupid ass border shit. Kamala Harris hasn't been to the border. So just boss up and be like, I'm not the border czar that y'all trying to pay me out to be. And I really want her to get on Ted Cruz's ass and say, I'm not going to be lectured by Ted Cruz, who fled the border when his people was without power and without water. You was up in Mexico at the Ritz-Carlton. So I know you're not trying to lecture me on going to the border when you should have kept your ass on the right side of the border when your state was without power. Now, how about that?
Amisha, your thoughts?
No, I agree with Reese on the whole here. The frustration that I have is that we saw this coming. The Republicans have looked at Kamala Harris as a target since she was actually chosen as the VP, as the running mate for Joe Biden. And we knew that the target was going to become even more heavy after this administration took office. And they have posed her as someone that they are going to attack day in and day out. To Reese's point and to yours earlier, at the end of the day, there isn't anything that Kamala Harris said in Guatemala or said in various press conferences or various press interviews that hasn't actually been a mirror reflection of what Joe Biden himself has said. So our borders were never open. There was never a conversation about our borders being open. There won't be a conversation about our borders being open. President Biden has said that they are closed. He has said that he does not, do not send your people here, do not come, because we know that the message that coyotes have been given to several families in Guatemala and families across the Northern Triangle is that American borders are open. To be able to have this conversation in the context that was a lie, they're taking your money, the trek is long and dangerous, people are dying, those are all facts. And I think that Kamala Harris went down and did exactly what she was supposed to do. The thing that is lost in this entire argument, though, that Republicans seem to make gains off of is the fact that Democrats have a horrible job and continue to do a horrible job of rhetoric, of having the conversation, of pushing forward and pointing out the lies. At the end of the day, there are several administrations that we've seen, both red and blue, who've had a really difficult time with the border crisis, with the immigration surges, which, to the point of Joe Biden making just a few months ago, happen annually, seasonally, around the exact same time, no matter who's in office. So I think that we have to be very strategic about fighting back against this narrative, and also very strategic about understanding what Kamala's job actually is right now. She is there to act as an ambassador. She is there to not only advocate, but also reach towards policy solutions and have the conversations that are necessary to meet the needs of why people are actually fleeing these countries to begin with. A lot of it is a result of American interventionism gone wrong. A lot of it is a result of these cartels. A lot of it is a result of the drug war, the ongoing drug war, and the drugs that Americans actually benefit from that have come from these Central American countries. And the fact that there is so much economic division, upheaval, and quite frankly, failures at the government level of many of these countries that has caused a bell jar effect when it comes to the economic troubles and the strife that citizens deal with every single day. Kamala is there to not only elevate these issues and talk through them, but also to develop strategies and platforms moving forward as to how we can make these areas safer so that families will not feel the necessity to run away. That is her job. Her job is not to post and do photo ops down at the southern border. That doesn't make sense anyway, and it gets nothing done. She is doing what she is put there to do. The frustration we should all have is the fact that liberal media, mainstream media, everybody seems to be taking cues from the Republican Party, and not only for the questions and the rhetoric that they're asking, which feeds their own narrative, but also ignoring the fact that this is a vice president who is not being treated like any vice president we have ever seen in this country. They are elevating her and her position beyond what it actually is. First and foremost, there are several decisions that are coming from the White House, from President Biden right now, and she is his spokesperson in this. She is not developing her own agenda. She is not out here, creating things by herself. She is in lockstep with the administration. She's also someone who understands our immigration crisis. Heck, she was a leader in California. We know how many immigrants comprise that state. She's someone who understands this issue. And I think that to the points made earlier, we do have to admit the fact that when it comes to certain questions, obviously these were questions that were going to come up. The questions about the border. But on that same token, I think that Kamala and her communications team has to learn how to rebuff, remove, continue moving forward. Because, I'm not going to say that some of the responses were made for TV fodder. It is what it is. They were going to be run on anyway. And some Democrats chose to run them on loop themselves. We saw what AOC did. And I give AOC credit for elevating certain issues and talking about the importance of them. But AOC has to also be put in her place when she is dead wrong. And at the end of the day, there were many conversations that were held, and there was a lot of information that was taken out of context or just stripped from the actual conversation that Kamala had, one that has been praised by Northern Triangle leaders themselves. We've seen those commendations come down. They are not opposed to what Kamala is saying. So why in the hell is American media so pressed against her conversation when those who are actually in leadership of those nations are applauding her for the exact same conversations?
Right. Right.
Agreed. And I also want to just take a moment again, this immigration crisis, it is complicated, but I just want to shout out that right now, currently the Biden administration, they're reuniting 29 families that got tore apart with the Trump administration's child separation family policy, right? That's a big deal. If you are Haitian and you are in this country, your temporary protection status has continued. Trump was trying to end that. So I think things have gotten better. But listen, we have this little effed up thing called Congress, and it's going to be hard to get these things passed. And Kamala Harris can't. It's just the critiques of her. It's insane. And we're only in month 5. We're only in month 5 of this administration.
We're in month 5, and she's taking fire from both sides of the aisle. She's taking it from the Republicans, which we knew was going to come because they hate Black women anyway. But she's also taking it in hyperdrive from far left Democrats and Democrats who just cannot get their stuff together and actually stand up to protect Kamala Harris and the agenda of the Biden administration. We knew what Republicans were going to do. That's the same playbook they've used forever. Democrats need to develop a thicker skin, also a stronger communications plan, because we're dying out here right now, and they're leaving Kamala out to dry.
And I want her to get a scrappier too. She's get boss bitch on them. You are the second most powerful person in this country. When Biden now is in Europe, that means that Kamala on American soil is the most high-ranking person. She don't have to take it on the chin anymore. You know what I'm saying? So it's like at some point you gotta channel a little bit of Joe Biden, because Joe Biden will be like, come on, man. Joe Biden will rib you a little bit, step into that white man balls.
She faces a conflict though, Reese, and I agree with you, but she also has to taper that with the fact that America always calls Black women angry. They always call Black women aggressive. And at the end of the day, she's going to, with the hopes of one day becoming president herself, she knows that there is a tango of a dance that she has to do in order to get things done, but also to not appear as though she is being too aggressive, it's a problem because Black women have that regardless of what position of power they happen to be in. And she is very smart to recognize it, but she also has to temper herself with understanding that America isn't going to change overnight. Just because she's VP now does not mean that America has gotten any more loving or embracing of Black women, specifically not strong, intelligent Black women. We know that from the conversations, the articles, and the way she's being attacked day in and day out. And I think that it's a very difficult position for her to be in right now, because let's say she bosses up. Then we watch American hatred, not only from Republicans, but also for some Democrats, because let's not pretend like racism doesn't run across both partisan lines. It's a frustration that I will always have, because as a Black woman, and you as well, Reese, we recognize fully that when we are in these spaces, the navigational waters are not, there is no manuscript for this. And we know that one wrong misstep or one long conversation can kill your future politically, but also in terms of your negotiations and things like that. And America right now is in its own fire pit when it comes to race relations. She is at a very interesting point in our nation's history. And I think she's trying to wade those waters the best way she possibly can, watching this nation tear itself apart.
I respect that, but let me go to the Hillary example, right? Hillary, people called her every kind of bitch under the sun, this, that, and the other. And when she ran, she tried to become Grandma Hillary.
Yes, she did.
That wasn't what the people that's gonna hate you gonna call you the bitch no matter what. And the people that actually ride with you, they're not looking for Grandma Hillary. They looking for Hillary with the hand on her hand, going through these Benghazi questions like, and what, and what, and what, and what. And so you can't run away from what people are going to define you as. I mean, Kamala says it herself. Don't let them define you. You have to define yourself. So being a dove is not going to work. It's you have to at some point, and I think she can pull it off because we know Kamala as a natural. She got a little bit of, punch to her. She got some punch to her. She's pulled those punches, throughout most of her campaign and in her thing. But we've seen her with Barr. We've seen her with Kavanaugh. So we've seen her really come out and just get people a little bit. Even when she said one of her border responses where she kind of did the head tilt and she kind of, bossed up in her tone a little bit. That was effective. I don't think she has to retreat so much and to be so concerned about the angry Black woman narrative, because that's going to be there anyway. They're going to call her every name under the sun. And so she does have more rope than I think she's giving herself. She has a little bit more rope, and I just want her to just lean into it a little bit more, lean into her power, lean into her Black womanness, lean into the fact that she was a prosecutor, that she was senator, that she's the highest ranking woman ever of any race in the United States of America. And she doesn't have to play by the same rules because, like I said before, she's in the Kamala Harris lane. So she don't have to play by the rules of AOC. Who the hell is AOC? She don't have to answer to AOC. She don't have to answer to Ted Cruz. She don't have to answer to none of these people that are critics of her.
The other thing I add, Clay, is midterms. We also have to recognize that Democrats, no matter what rank they are on national alert when it comes to midterms, because there is a very, very strong chance, a 99.9% likelihood that Democrats are going to lose both the House and quite possibly the Senate as well. That changes the policy making, that changes the trajectory, that changes the historical relevance of the administration if they cannot get stuff done right now.
Right. Well, let me say this, then we'll head to a break and we'll get your calls too. I see that the lines are lit. I want to say this, to Reese's point, one of the things that I've noticed, and this is just my own informal, unscientific poll, that people, Black voters, I talk to y'all 2 hours a day, every day. We are craving someone to call it out and be that boss. I think we're craving it. I was on BNC on Charles Blow's show a couple of days ago, and we were talking about Obama. Obama kind of, and I will list Obama's record like the best of them. But Obama kind of playing this dance and, saying, I didn't think the Republican Party could get this dark. And it's a dance. And we understand y'all got to play that. And I get that. But at this point, if y'all out there and you're listening, we're craving it. This is why I love Maxine Waters. Now, I know she's not going to run for, president or senator, but we are craving it. Yes. Okay. We get the dance you had to play, the game you had to play to get in there, but you're in there, call it out. And if they call you angry, whatever, if they call you a B, whatever, call it out. And I really feel, this my humble opinion, it would invigorate, it would motivate Black voters for these midterms. Like, no, you're not going to do this. That's incorrect. Here's why I did it. That's what I feel. And if I just think at this point, the Black vote is so powerful. It's so powerful that if you try to put that angry Black woman narrative on Vice President Kamala Harris, try it. And it'll bring us all the way out. Oh, yeah. So that's just my own little informal poll, talking to my cousins, talking to y'all on air. But that's just the way that I see it. I totally see what you're saying, Amisha. But at this point, we know what that is. Just go there. You're already there. What do you have to lose? Because then we get mad when they're too passive. Then we get mad. Why are you so passive? They never say anything. They don't call anything out. And, listen, I don't know what President Obama was thinking to say. I mean, President Obama is brilliant. Like, you have to know about the Southern strategy. You have to know about the demon Ronald Reagan. You have to know about when Condoleezza Rice was, I said on BNC, was shopping for Ferragamo shoes as Black folks are dying in Hurricane Katrina. That was pretty dark, right? But we're in this space. Call it out. Call it out.